Hello everyone, today we are back to make a delicious oyster mushroom soup that is full of flavor and nutrition. So to make this you will need the following. We have 3 pounds of mushrooms, or 1.5 kilograms of mushrooms. These are oyster mushrooms. 1 onion that's chopped, 3 stalks of celery chopped, 1 orange pepper. You could use green or red, but the colored ones are better, they're sweeter. We have some garlic here, fresh parsley. We need about 9 large carrots, and I have smaller ones, so I'm using all of these. And these will be put in just like this and to boil, you'll see. And 3 parsnips there. So without further ado, I'm going to start cutting up the mushrooms, and I'll show you exactly what I have to do to cut them up, and let's go. The first thing you want to do is cut off the root of the oyster mushroom, which is this. So if you hold it up and you just cut a V into it, you remove it, and that's it. So we'll put that aside. And then the next thing I'm going to do is slice the mushrooms like this. I'm going to go ahead and do this to each one of them and set them aside. Now you want all your vegetables to be cut up and ready to go in the pot at the same time so they can all boil and you don't have one that's done and one that's not done. And so go ahead and cut up everything that I've told you. The only thing to put aside is put aside your garlic, because that will go at the end, and I'll show you when. You will need a food processor or a high power chopper like a Vitamix at the end, because I'm gonna take the carrots, that's why I'm putting them whole, to create a creamy mixture from it. And I'll show you exactly what I do with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish all of these mushrooms by slicing them like this, and then I'll return to put everything in the pot. Now while I'm cutting this, I'm bringing the water to a boil. There's nothing else in the water. I'm going to add the salt to the water right before I put the vegetables. I don't want to add it before because you don't want your water to not come to a boil rapidly. With the salted water, it doesn't come as fast to a boil, it takes longer. So the water's being brought up to a boil right now as I'm slicing this, and then I'll put all the vegetables in. So I will return. I'm also adding 3.5 pickled peppers that I put. These are European peppers, they're the flat ones, and it'll add a nice, interesting, vinegary, a little bit soury taste to the soup, for this soup especially. And I'll put that into my high power blender of the Vitamix with the garlic and the cooked carrots, and you'll see that step later on, but I wanted to mention this. So I'm gonna go ahead and add all of my ingredients now, and because the water is up to a boil, I'll add the salt and everything else. As you can see, the water's coming to a boil. I'm gonna add my bay leaf, and I have about 4 of them, and that's a half, and some peppercorns. I'll add that first. I'm gonna add some salt at this point, because now it's boiling. I don't have to bring it up to a boil. And I'll add 4 teaspoons. Now if you want to add the salt at the very end, that's okay, but you want some of it in with your vegetables because it just gives it a different taste. So I've added the salt. I'm going to go ahead and add my chopped onion right here. As I said, this is a fast soup. You can make it really within a half hour if everything's chopped up. So I would give myself an hour with everything, chopping everything up and getting it ready for the soup. All right, next I'm going to add the mushrooms, the oyster mushrooms that are chopped up. And this is the star of this soup. It's the mushroom. And we'll let all this boil. Like I said, this is 3 pounds or 1.5 kilograms of mushrooms. They'll reduce, just like they do in a stew or anything else, quite a bit, so no worries. Since this is the star of the soup, it's the one that I'm using most, of course. Okay. Again, I'm cutting up everything small so that everything is finished about the same time, cooked at the same time. So let's just put everything in there. Okay, there we go. Just give it a mix a little bit. We're gonna add our carrots. Like this. Whole carrots. We're gonna take them all out. That's the reason why I'm putting them in whole. And this is the parsnip. And the celery, it calls for celery root, but I'm using the celery stalk and the pepper. Like I said, any kind of pepper you have in the house is good. It'll give it a sweeter flavor. And this is about it. For this, to let it come up to a boil, let everything for 20 minutes. Put the lid on and just let it do its thing and let it all cook. Put the lid on and then about 20 minutes. Make sure you put the lid on just on the side like this so that to let some of the steam out. That way it doesn't come out of your pot. Okay, so I'm back and I'm going to remove my carrots right now. Oops. Get the carrots out of there. As you can see, it took a while for it to come back up to boiling after I added everything, so maybe it took a little bit longer than what I anticipated, but I'm going to remove the carrots, just like this. I'm going to cut up 3 of these carrots, and you're going to need a small pan and 2 tablespoons of olive oil to just give it a little bit of a flavor. By doing this, you're going to flavor the soup a little bit more since we only have salt and pepper and bay leaf inside it. We're going to need to dress it up a little bit, let's say. Okay, so even if you remove a little bit of the mushrooms, don't worry about it, no worries. So everything looks delicious and it smells out of this world. Okay, so let's go ahead and slice these up. I turned down the stove to low. I don't want it to boil anymore as much. And I'm just going to put that to the side. Okay, so here's our carrots. I'm going to slice these like this and add them to my blender here. Like I said, only about 3 of them I am going to use to dress up my soup. I did forget to add the fact that you need cashews for this. Since this is vegan, we cannot use sour cream or eggs to dress up our soup. So then what I do is I took 1 cup of cashews and soaked them overnight. If you don't have the time and you realize, oh, I forgot to do that, go ahead and just put them in a pan and bring them up to a boil and then shut off the stove and just let them sit in there. They'll hydrate again, they'll take all the liquid in and that'll be fine. So I got all that done. These are my mushrooms I'm going to add back in. So the rest of the carrots, they're kind of hot, so if you want to let them cool off a little bit, but I'm trying to finish the soup, go ahead and do that. It's still doable, but chop them up. They're pretty much done. And I'm going to add them into, like I said, a skillet, and I'll add them with all of with the other carrots that I'll be putting in the blender, and the flat peppers that I talked about that I had pickled for winter. That will give it that like a sour soup. Believe me, it might not sound good to you, but it is good. It just gives it a sweet, sour flavor to the soup, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to get my pan out, and I'm just going to saute these for 5 minutes, no longer. You don't need that to cook longer. It just gives it a nice color to the soup, and I find it necessary to do this. Okay. All of the vegetables you added to this soup made its own vegetable stock in there, which is nice. We've added so many vegetables, and the star of the soup, the oyster mushrooms. Yum. Okay, this is done. I'll get my skillet out. I have a lost carrot there, and I'll be back. Chopped up carrots, the 3 carrots, to my olive oil. I'll just let them hang out here a little bit and let them saute. I also added the rest of the carrot, the pickled peppers, and I am going to add the garlic. I'll let this do its thing. It'll make a paste, and I'll add it right to my skillet. Okay, here we go. Here's the rest of the carrot and the peppers, and I am going to put some water in my Vitamix here and remove all of this because it's too good to stay in there or to throw out. So I'll let this hang out for 5 minutes here, and then I'll add it in the soup, which will give the soup a very nice color. As you can see, the Vitamix does an awesome job at pureeing everything and getting it done just perfect. If you don't have Vitamix, do whatever, a blender, whatever you have, or a chopper is fine too. It doesn't have to be as fine. So let's go ahead and do the cashews next. As you can see, I added the cashews in the water. This will be like a sour cream cashew for the soup. And I put it right in with the carrots that I had done before, so that's okay, no problem. Okay, here's our soup. The stove is on low. I'll turn it up just a tiny bit. Everything is done. Here's our sauteed carrots with the olive oil and the peppers, the flat peppers that I had put for the winter. Okay, that'll give it a little bit, like I said, a vinegar. Look at the color of the soup now. This is a great idea to do this. And then I chop some carrots back into the soup, and we don't lose anything like this. Alright, so let's add the cashews next. The cashew cream, which is right here. Okay. This is instead of a sour cream, and this will also give it a very nice texture, creamy texture, and delicious. And I'm going to top it off with some fresh parsley. Okay, let's let all this work its magic here, and it's going to all incorporate together. Okay, and I'm going to plate it and taste it. Yum. Delicious. It smells. If it tastes as good as it smells, then this is a winner. Yes. Let's see here. Let it sit for about 10 minutes. Let everything kind of combine. Let the cashew cream dissolve in the soup. Become one with the soup here. Ready to sample and to plate. I will be
be back.
It is so good. I just tasted it. I did add a little bit more garlic to mine because I like the garlic taste, and I'm going to be eating it with the hot pepper that I also is from my garden, and I put them in jars. I've pickled them. It is delicious. I added some fresh parsley and I tasted it. It tastes amazing. I hope you try this recipe. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Have a blessed day and happy Lent.